Sophia here, My Great Challenge. Welcome back to my Esty Shop, Frenchy and Tubby. I have 7 new items to feature today for this week's sales. And all the items you're going to see today will be live in the shop tomorrow, April 26th at 5 p.m. So let me start with the one that's in the thumbnail because this is just so cool. This is Life Pre-Running Water chamber pots. This was part of the Homer Laughlin toiletware collection. So they would have the regular china, and then if the lady really liked a specific pattern, including this one, what would happen is that they would issue everything in that pattern, including toiletware. So toiletware included trays to put jewelry on or brushes. It included the hair receivers. Ladies used to keep their own hair if they were falling off, you know, when they were brushing. They would have a little container called a hair receiver, and they would put their hair in there, and that was used later on to do hair pieces because they were losing their hair like we do. So you could do braids, you could do chignon, whatever, or they would sell the hair. They would do the big bowl with the washing pitcher, all sorts of items, and of course the chamber pot. Now when I saw this, I initially thought this was a Haviland, and I'm going to show you why. The pattern looked very familiar to me, and I said, "Ooh, is this a Haviland chamber pot?" So here's the pattern. It's flowers, right? And to me it looked very similar to this, which is one of my own pieces. This is a Haviland, a Theodore Haviland from France, and this one is called Marie. But this is not Haviland, this is Homer Laughlin. And through research, I found out that Homer Laughlin was losing a little bit of its market when Haviland started importing to the United States. So they did a lot of patterns that were somewhat copies of what was known at the time as Haviland Limoges patterns. Of course, much more affordable. So this one is part of the Hudson series, and you can tell it's Hudson by the scalloped handle here and the way the handle is over here. The Hudson pattern initially was white, then they did white and gold. And when they started losing the market to Haviland, they started adding a whole bunch of flowers. This one, I'll put the number right here in the description, is from 1908. So chamber pots were used clearly to relieve yourself in the middle of the night or in the morning when you got up. They were initially inserted in a chair in your house, whether it was your personal quarters or a little room outside of a living room. For instance, if you had guests, there would be a specific chair that was the relieving chair, and you would move the top. There was a hole, and inside the hole the chambermaid would place this pot with or without the lid. You would relieve yourself and close the chair. The chambermaid would come in at a later time, open the chair, pull out the chamber pot and go wash it. That's how it worked. They were oftentimes left underneath the bed. The lady would get up in the middle of the night or early in the morning and pull out the chamber pot and take care of business. So that's what chamber pots were for before we had running water and running toilets. It's in amazing condition. Considering this is from 1908, we're going to consider it an antique. The pattern itself looks like lilac. I think it's bougainvillea, but I'm not sure. I tried to garden, but I am not a master gardener, so I cannot tell you, but I think it's bougainvillea. It's got a few little defects, manufacturing defect. A little bit of the gold is faded from 1908. Come on now. We accept that. There's a little bit of crazing, but otherwise there's no structural damage. It's beautiful. What do you do with this? Well, We passed the age of using it as a chamber pot, aren't we? It would make a beautiful planter. Or if you collect antique things, including chamber pots, because apparently there is such a thing as collecting chamber pots, this one's for you. 1908 Homer Laughlin. And by the way, Homer Laughlin is highly collectible. Here's the stamp at the bottom. You can date them by the stamps too. Companies used to change the stamps every decade or 20 years. The patterns didn't always have a name, so it was a way of cataloging things. So the pattern here only has a number, but the stamps at the bottom and tells me that this is from 1901 through 1908. Hudson floral, pink floral chamber pot. The next item is really cool. I love these. I had a pineapple one that I believe sold. It's hard to keep track. This is monkeypod wood from the 70s. It's technically Hawaiian wood. It only grows in tropical areas, but it says made in the Philippines. And what is this? It's a pea pod, and it's a pea pod tray for appetizers, nuts, olives, whatever. I just cleaned it and waxed it for you actually, so it looks really, really good. I love these, and these are not just for food. Okay, it's a really cool design. I think it fits the minimalist or the farmhouse decor, which are kind of like opposite end of the spectrum, but you could use that as a catch-all in an entryway, and or in an office on your desk, and you put your little office supplies, whatever you want to put in there. It's really cool. I like it. I've seen others online. They seem to be straighter. This one has a very nice curve to it. It's much more natural looking to me as a pea pod. It's got a little bit of scuff here and there, but it's from the 70s. It's 50 something years old. Let's give it a break. This thing has seen quite a lot and still has plenty of life in it. So pea pod in monkey pod wood, and entirely hand carved out of one piece of wood. It's really cool. So that's item number 2. Okay, item number 3, pottery. You know I'm a big lover of pottery. You saw me source this thing. I love this. I absolutely love this. This is a ginormous pie dish. I measured it already. Hold on, I'm going to tell you. It's 12.5 by 2.5. So 12.5 across, 2.5 top. And then the inner part for your pie itself is 10.25. This is handcrafted with a beautiful piece dove pattern in the middle. Nice scalloped edge. It's perfect for any kind of pie actually, even a deep dish pizza. And it's signed by the potter in the back, and it says Jocelyn, Jocelyn. I tried to look for Jocelyn as a potter. Couldn't find anything about her. I'm pretty sure it says Jocelyn. You guys tell me. What do you think? I don't think it's Jocelyn, because Jocelyn only has one N. Unless it's Jocelyn with 2 N. Who knows? But it's really nice. Look at the gloss on this thing. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? It's a gorgeous pie dish. If you don't want to use it for its intended purpose, it would make a beautiful piece of decoration. If you lean it on a shelf with, whatever you need to stop it from falling. It's in perfect condition. It's probably from the late 80s, early 90s. It's a large pie dish. I really, really like this. Let me give you a close-up so you can see the design and the speckle pattern on it. Look at this thing. It's really nice. I love this. Okay, when I come back, we're going to talk tea. 4th item is the tiniest serving for 1. This is a actual Sandler Brown Betty. They made teapots from the late 1800s up to today. This one is probably from the 70s. It's got a number 37. I'm assuming it's the size or the pattern, but it's the typical Sandler teapot. Now, the good thing about the Brown Betties, when they started making them, they could actually be used as either coffee or tea. They spout tend to be a little bit shorter, and they're definitely big rounded teapots. It's got a little bit of a glaze chip right here, no big deal. It's got a self strainer on the inside, and this is tea for one, so you can put a good 2 cups in there, no more. And I think it's the cutest little thing. You know, sometimes teapots don't have to be flourish and have all sorts of florals and designs and dots and gold, whatever. Sometimes just the simplest of teapots is just as attractive, and this one is really, really pretty. I like it. I have a large one. I have an 8-cup Brown Betty. This one's very cute. So if you're looking for a teapot for one, perfect. Okay, next item, milk glass. I already sold one of those back in the days. They were quite popular. It's Westmoreland milk glass, which is, as you know, and as always rave about it, my favorite milk glass manufacturer. Super heavy. I mean, this is a chunk of glass. You could knock somebody out with this. Very heavy, super smooth, absolutely gorgeous. There's no discoloration. The glass is uniform. Sometimes you purchase something in milk glass and you can see like stripes in it where the powder they mixed with the glass, I can't remember which one it is, calcitrate, I think, something like that, doesn't fully blend. But this one is just pure milk glass, gorgeous. Panel grape, the most popular pattern, started very early in the 40s all the way up to the 80s. This one is from the 60s. It's post 40 because it's marked Westmoreland glass on the WG. It's in perfect condition. This is really heavy. I'm just telling you, this is like when you hold it, you can feel the quality and the amount of glass that's in it. It's got nice details too. If you look at, let me see, I hope I can give you a close-up on this. If you look at the handle has this pattern that makes it look like wood because it's a vine of grapes with leaves. Oh, love this. So guess what? I have one. I already have one I kept for myself upstairs in my milk glass collection because this is really a classic. Such a pretty piece. So it's pressed glass, by the way. Gorgeous. So Westmoreland milk glass. I know I have milk glass collectors. I'm going to continue with glass, more like leaded crystal. This is, it's a hard one to pronounce for me. I do not speak German at all. This is nachtmann. It's Bavarian crystal, lead crystal. The pattern, it's called Calypso. It's not super vintage. You can still find them online, but the majority, if not all of them, were out of stock or the item is no longer available. So I'm going to assume it's been discontinued, and that's the reason. This is a beautiful crystal vase, and this shape, which I was going to refer to as tulip, is actually called a trumpet. Makes sense, right? To have this kind of taper, and yeah, it's not too much like a tulip. So it is a trumpet, and it's gorgeous. It's got a tiny scratch here and there, but that's, you know, from regular wear. There's no sign on it. There's no signature, no stamp, nothing. But it's a beautiful lead crystal. They call it blinken crystal, I think, in Germany, and it's lead crystal. So this is a real lead crystal vase. It would make a perfect gift for Mother's Day. You know, we buy flowers for Mother's Day and they give us those really cheap vase at the Interflora or whatever. Why not just like get something like this and gift your mother not only the flowers but a beautiful vase to go with it. It's very stable. It's very bottom heavy. Beautiful vase by Nachtmann Crystal. I would say it's from the 80s. Calypso, I believe, is the pattern. It's very feminine. I like this a lot. All right, these I've had in my garage for years. Years, and I keep saying I'm going to put them up on Etsy, and I just don't do it. So since I was cleaning the garage last week, guess what? They finally made it to this room, and we are selling them, and they are for train collectors. So if you have a train collector in your life, I am going to sell a set of 3 Erie, Pennsylvania type trains, and I'm selling it as a set. They are by Country Trains in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and there's a number 20772. That's part of the collection. So there's the Erie train with the big engine, locomotive. My brother was really big on trains. He would have loved this. It's got a gold accent to it. It's a regular mug, but man, for a train collector, if you have a dad or a grandpa who's into trains, they would love to have that on the shelf in their little train room. And then this one is another engine from Erie train line. It says Country Trains at the bottom. And the last one doesn't have anything at the bottom, but it's Lehigh Valley Railroad, which I'm not sure if it's still in existence, but anyway, but this one doesn't have the Country Trains logo at the bottom. So I'm going to sell it as a set instead of doing it separate. I think it's much easier, because if you know somebody who's a train collector, 3 mugs is better than 1. That's my only logical explanation. And it's about time I finally put them up for sale. I'm telling you. Oh, it says by Frank Evans, 1989. Here you go. Is this one silent? Oh yeah, Frank Evans. I didn't even see that. So they are 1989 Frank Evans designer mug, and this one is just the logo of Lehigh Valley Railroad. So it doesn't have any signature on it. But I'm going to assume they're part of the same collection, same time. So 1989. And that would be it. That's what I got in the shop coming up tomorrow at 5 p.m. The link for my Etsy shop is up here and down below. And as always, what would I keep? Very obviously, we all know that. You guessed it, I would keep the chamber pot. I would keep the chamber pot because it's just such a unique item and it's beautiful. And I would keep the pie dish because that is just my cup of tea. I just love pottery, and this one, it really caught my eye. It's a beautiful piece. Jocelyn, whoever you are, good job. Beautiful piece. Anyway, all the items will be in the shop tomorrow at 5. I hope to see you there. Thank you everyone for supporting my little business, which is growing sometimes faster than I can manage it, but I think it's perfect. You're making my dream come true, and better than that, I'm making you happy. Some of you have contacted me and told me that you love the items that you purchased and you proudly display them in your home, and some of you are collectors. So the cat collectors, by the way, you'll see that this is coming soon. This little preview. It's actually coming in tomorrow's video. You'll see me source this. It's a candle holder. You put it that way for the candle, and then that way to display it. Pottery. It's really cool. So I have collectors and I have people who are actually looking for items that were long lost, and that's really one of the reasons why I'm doing this little adventure of mine with selling vintage goods and antiques on Etsy. I really want to reunite people with items they remember from the childhood, like the teapot. Come on, who didn't have teak wood and monkeypod wood items in their home in the 70s? I know we did when I was a kid, but I don't have them because they're all the way up in France, and I just can't bring everything over. But we all had stuff like that when we grew up. Everybody had that in the kitchen. Or the milk glass, you know. You probably remember Grandma and her milk glass pitcher. She would pull it out and she had the glasses to go with it. And she served the best lemonade you ever had when you were a kid. So it's one of the reasons why I do this. I want to reunite people with long lost items, and I know that this finally, I knew it was going to happen, a revival of people looking for vintage things to decorate their home. They're tired of the big box item and the made overseas item and the cheaply made item that everybody else has. They're tired of the cookie cutter home. They want personality in their home, and they're looking for vintage stuff. So here I am, looking, sourcing, and reselling those vintage items so that you can decorate the home to reflect who you are, not a catalog. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.